From SF Land, this is Dorking Out, a podcast for people who love to dork out about movies, TV, and everything pop culture.
Welcome to Dorking Out. My name is Sonia Mansfield, and I didn't come back the same. Joining me is my podcasting sister from another mister and the co-host of Dorking Out, Margo D. Hello, my friend.
I don't want to get buried in a pet cemetery.
Oh, we just lost all of our listeners. No, just kidding. This week, we are dorking out about Pet Sematary. Not just the new movie, but also the 1989 movie. And I'm really excited to talk about it because I saw it all by myself. And Margo and I did not talk about it off the air, so I have no idea if she thinks these movies are garbage or if she super loves them. So let's just talk about. So when did you see the new Pet Sematary?
I saw it yesterday, which was Friday, and I went by myself to the Alamo Draft House, and it was filled with about, I'd say, like 20 people, and half of them were couples or people just that went together, and half of them were solo, like me. Yeah. So, you know, like, because people do like to go to movies by themselves. And the audience, they gasped a couple of times, but for the most part, I think they enjoyed it. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, I went Thursday night, so it was like the 7:00 show on Thursday night. So I like to think that those are probably the people that are like super excited for Pet Sematary, and they seemed pretty into it. I'll just say right off the bat, they liked it a lot more than I did.
Well, and I'm going to say, because if you guys also want to hear like the difference between the book and the movies, for book versus movie, I'm doing an episode about Pet Sematary with our friend Dina of Twisted Philly. And just spoiler, she likes the movie more than I did.
Okay.
And so you'll hear her review if you want to listen to that. That's on book versus movie. I feel the same way you did. I don't know. I thought parts of it were, I think it's overall good. I just didn't, I was hoping it would be better because the acting is better. The special effects are so much better. I like it better. They switched it. So we're going to spoil, by the way.
Yes.
Just to warn you guys. But I love the fact that they used the daughter, Ellie.
Yes.
As the one that they revive versus the 2-year-old.
Yes.
Which, you know, it's just creepy and weird.
Yes.
And I thought the cat was really cute. You know that. You know, yeah. I like cute cats. I like Maine. I like Stephen King stories, and it's a novel that genuinely scared the hell out of me when I was a kid. I have to say, I read it.
It's the only Stephen King book I've read, and I read it like right after. So the original Pet Sematary, the one in '89, played at my movie theater. So I saw it like a few times. I super love the song. I never got tired of cleaning that theater because the song was it was catchy as fuck. And I liked the movie. So I then read the book. It's the only Stephen King book I've read, which is shameful. I am not bragging. I am disgusted with myself. But I don't even remember it. So I couldn't even tell you like differences between the book and the movie. But I left the new movie and it just made me feel like, I tweeted this out. I said, it made me feel sad and then mad and then bad. Like, and it's been a long time since I've seen a movie with characters that were this stupid. Like, I feel like people in horror movies now are people who have seen horror movies. And these people, like, they just do shit where I was like, what are you I'm terrified. Oh my God, you brought our daughter back from the dead. I'm going upstairs. What? No, get in your fucking car and get the fuck out of there.
Well, Lewis, like, what was Lewis thinking?
I don't.
In the book, look, he's just like he buries the cat first.
Yes,
and he does that because his friend Judd. By the way, I love the cast here. John Lithgow is great as Judd.
Yes,
he tells them, okay, the girl's cat gets run over by a truck. Their house is right by this empty, basically an empty 2-lane road, and trucks just fly down it going like 60, 70 miles an hour.
Now, are those supposed to be trucks from like Maximum Overdrive or anything like that? Because I won't know like all the like Stephen King Easter eggs like you will.
No.
Okay.
But but it's based on kind of a true story. So he was in 78 or 79, he taught for a semester at a main campus. I think it's Odom. And it was his way of saying thank you for his education. But he didn't have to do this. He was like a millionaire novelist at this point. But he lived in a house that was next to a road just like that. And one day, his daughter's cat got Smokey, I think his name was run over.
Oh.
And then a couple of days later, his son Owen almost ran into traffic and
it's my nightmare.
Which is every parent's nightmare. Yeah. And that's why he wrote it. And back then, he was also in the 80s. This is 83. It comes out. He was a heavy drinker, so sometimes his plots just go batshit, and then you just kind of have to say, well, it must have been a beer day. It's
right.
Just for his writing. So it's based on that. But yeah, Lewis, I can't understand. Rachel, we're meant to know is that is a very damaged character, his wife, because when she was little, she had to take care of her sister Zelda. And Zelda had spina bifida, is that what it was? And
or spinal meningitis or something like that.
Spinal meningitis. Yeah, spinal meningitis is something else. But her sister was very sick. And we're meant to know that her parents kind of left her alone to take care of her sister because her parents are assholes.
Yeah.
And she has this trauma. You know, her sister died. She has a trauma about death. And they moved to this house. And she's all of a sudden thinking about her sister a lot. And you don't know why Lewis is damaged, but you get the feeling he is too.
Like, you're a shitty doctor, Lewis.
Oh my God. Okay, so we have to talk about, because it's something, this made me crazy. So in both movies, and I don't remember from the book, I'm sure it's from the book, but in both movies, there's a character named Victor Pascoe.
Yes.
And he's a kid. So the doctor, it's Louis Creed, Dr. Creed. He works at this university as their doctor. And so normally it's like nosebleeds and I don't know, girls' pregnancy tests. I don't know what they do all day.
Yeast infections and urinary tract infections.
Right. You know, the normal 20-something
You know
disease.
the shit everyone gets in college.
Yeah. You know, penicillin here.
Yeah.
How to treat a hangover, that kind of thing. And all of a sudden a girl comes running to the room. She goes, oh my God, my friend got hit by a car. And so they bring in this kid and his last name is Pascoe. And he doesn't expect this. You know, he was always working at a hospital in Boston before this. He thought this was going to be easy. The kid dies on the table. And then he's there when the kid dies and somehow his soul speaks to him. And then the rest of the movie, that Pascoe just shows up and some people can see him and some people can't see him.
Right.
And he doesn't do a fucking thing. There's no purpose to him.
I watched the 1989 one just last night. And one of the things I like about that movie, and I'm going to say, I actually like the 1981 and 1989 movie better. I don't know why. I just like it better. I think it explains things a little bit better about it. It shows the intention, why they're doing what they're doing. I wasn't as frustrated watching the old one as I was watching the new one. And I felt like in the old one, Victor Pascoe, he says, like, you tried to help me, now I'm trying to help you. And they all see him, but nobody talks to each other, right? So like,
and nobody listens to him.
But nobody listens to him. But like but he actually does do stuff. Like he like gets the woman to like give Rachel the rental car so that she could drive back and get there in time. You know, he kind of like he gets the flight attendant to like hold the door open so that she makes the plane. Like he's actually trying to like help her get back to the house and stop Lewis from doing what he's doing. But in the new one, like Victor just shows up and he's fucking creepy and he's gross and he's like making that little boy cry. That's really all he does. And he gives everyone nightmares. That's it.
He gives everybody nightmares. The special effects and the makeup is great.
Yeah.
But like you said, he just kind of looks creepy and we don't get that he's trying to help Lewis. And we don't understand why Lewis doesn't listen. Like,
right? Yes.
That doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me. Like what was Lewis's damage? Because I'm trying to think like, what would my father do?
Yeah.
And my dad would be like, he didn't like cats anyway, but he'd just be like, sorry.
Right.
your cat died. He wouldn't, but it's Judd's the one that actually puts the cat in the pet cemetery, the special spot in the pet cemetery. But these people didn't even see the house before they got there.
That's the other thing. I was like, dude, really? You bought a house sight unseen? You didn't do a little Google search? Because you did like one Google search and you found out it's basically right next to an Indian burial ground.
Yeah. And
you
they
didn't
own
do that
50
before?
acres? And they didn't put up a fence. That always makes me crazy. There's little things like that. But anyway, but Lewis, so the cat reanimates, and then the cat's like a mean motherfucker.
Right.
And the cat hisses, and it smells bad, and it's dragging rodents and birds into the house.
Yes.
And it's just not the same sweet cat it was. So now Ellie, and he smells. So Ellie's like, I don't want to sleep with this cat.
Yeah.
And so it's set up so that Lewis just takes the cat, goes driving away, drops the cat off, and then brings him home. And then they're having this picnic right next to the road. I mean, do they have not anywhere else they could have this?
So once again, they have, this is why I'm like, you're all stupid. They have two young children and a cat they let outside. First of all, you guys don't let your cats outside. The world is not safe for them. Just keep them indoors. It's better that way. So they have two young children and a cat. There's a freeway right outside their fucking door that just, with these speeding trucks, put up a fence. I was agog. And then I was like, they're having this party and they're doing it on the side of the house that's next to the road. Isn't there any? They have 50 acres. There's none in the back of the house. Right? No, there's no other place in their 50 acres that they could have their party. It's got to be like right by the freeway.
Where they have all these kids. There's like 10 kids or something.
What
they
could
have
go
a little
wrong?
boy, Gage. Gage, by the way, I was saying this a couple of times. I'm like, does anybody check on Gage? Because there's long scenes where like he's not there. And the families that they're going for walks, they're doing things. I'm like, who's looking after Gage?
Yeah.
He's 2. He's just a little boy. But so they're having this birthday party for Ellie. And what happens is that it's so bad. But so the little boy Gage, they do this thing where they put the mask over the father and then they turn him around a few times and then he goes and tries to grab people. Once again, he's doing this next to a freeway where there's like trucks flying by. And so the kids scatter. And then one of them is little Gage and he's by a car parked by the street. And then the next thing you see is like, this truck comes screaming down. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Sorry.
You're under arrest, Margo. How dare you not like this movie? Here comes the horror movie police.
Jesus. Okay. Oh, for God's sake.
It's fine.
Okay. So this truck is like just freaking out, just like screaming down the highway. So Gage is by the car. And in the 1989 movie, the father runs after him and then the father trips.
Yes.
And so then the boy is hit by the truck. And it's devastating and horrible.
So sad.
It's so sad. So then they go, so then the movie, Gage is actually, his father manages to get Gage, so he doesn't run into the street, but then the truck flips over and the back of the truck flips out down the street and that hits Ellie.
Okay, by the way, fuck you trailers for spoiling that.
Yeah.
That would have been a huge surprise to people.
Yeah.
I already knew that was going to happen because I saw exactly one trailer. I try to avoid trailers for this very reason.
Well, it's also she's on the movie poster. She's the center of the poster.
See, I didn't even see a poster. I just saw that one preview and I was like, this would have been a huge surprise if you'd maybe not done that, but okay.
They didn't even leave that as a surprise. They were telling everybody.
Yeah.
So Ellie is hit and it's terribly sad. And in the 89 movie, when there's a funeral, Rachel's parents, the father just acts like a maniac.
Yes. And
starts screaming and there's tussling around, around the coffins. It's really ludicrous and over the top. Here, I like it better because the father-in-law just gives Lewis a bad look, a mean look. And you get the fact they don't like each other.
Yeah.
And he thinks he's a fuck up and this is his fault somehow. So you get that established. But so he sends the wife and the son to be with her parents, and Boston or wherever they are.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's staying up late, and all of a sudden he goes to Judd and says, and Judd's like, I know what you want to do. I don't think you should do it. And all of a sudden Lewis puts something in powder into Judd's drink. So obviously too.
Yeah.
Like he's making a sound.
Not even sly.
No.
Not sly at all.
Not at all. And once again, John Lithgow is great in this movie.
Have a sip of this drink. I totally didn't put anything in it. You know what? John Lithgow is really good in this because John Lithgow is awesome and he's good in everything. But I will say, like, I really, really, really love Fred Gwynn in the original.
Oh, yeah.
And I wrote in my notes, sometimes Fred is better.
I think he's fine. I think, and supposedly he could do a Maine accent very well, but everybody else kind of struggled, so they decided just to keep everybody just a flat accent.
I was trying to do the accent so bad last night around the house. My husband was laughing. He was like, "You're ridiculous. You sound like the Petridge Farm man." I was like, "Petridge Farm remembers." Like, that's my main accent.
Mine is, can't get there from here. Thank you.
That road has taken a lot of pets. Like, see, it doesn't sound like Maine at all.
No, it's very tough.
I don't know what my accent is.
And the thing with the sister, so here's another thing, so he buries Ellie out there, then Ellie comes back, and then Ellie's a bad mamma jamma.
And good acting from that young girl, too.
Her name's Jette Lawrence.
She's great.
She's going to be something. I think she's going to have I think she's got a lot of work ahead of her because she was so believable.
Yes.
And so good. And she all of a sudden, and it's better to have the older kid be the evil one versus a 2-year-old that you just kind of make him make a face and walk around with a knife. Like that wasn't very scary. Like this is much more terrifying.
Yes.
And like you said, so Rachel brings the son back, Gage back, and they come back to the house. And that's when she finds out, like, holy shit, like you said, there's a whole scene, go hug your daughter.
Yeah.
And she's like, what? And then she grabs her son and she goes upstairs.
First of all, why did you bring your son at all? If you're super worried about your husband, like, maybe you could leave the boy with your stupid asshole parents who haven't even sold that house that your sister died in the dump. What?
In that dump. The dumbwaiter, which I think actually is better. This is going to be controversial because I know a lot of people think Zelda is scary and they like the Zelda parts in Pet Sematary, the original. I like the update. I like it much better. I think she's much scarier and I think the dumbwaiter thing was terrifying.
Yeah.
I think those scenes are really well done.
But when they showed her back at the house, at her parents' house, I was like, they're still living in that fucking house?
Oh, yeah. These people are assholes.
Clearly. I was like, I wouldn't, if my kid died in the dumbwaiter of my house, I would not live there anymore.
No.
So, look, maybe she couldn't leave Gage with them because she's like, well, he'll probably die in the dumbwaiter if I leave him there. So she had to bring him. But, like, that's
she's screwed no matter what.
Right. But that's one of those things. Like, she's like, I'm super worried. And then just like, oh my God, you brought our daughter back from the dead. I'm going upstairs and going to bed.
And I'm going to lock the door.
That'll show him.
So then she has these series of like nightmares. And I think it's very good the way they realize the nightmares because they do look very real. And like I said, the acting I think is so much better in this movie. It's like next level. Like they're all really selling it. But then the daughter pushes her way into the room. She gets Gage out of the window by dropping him out of the window to the father.
Yes. And
then the daughter stabs her. And then once again, spoilers. And then the father comes in. He puts Gage in the car. Poor Gage.
Poor kid.
Poor kid. He locks him in the car and says, don't let anybody in here, no matter what, not even your sister. Don't let any. And he's like, I can't even talk because I'm 2, but okay. And then the father, Lewis goes to the house and he's trying to rescue his wife and the daughter cracks him over the head with the table. And then the daughter drags the mom to the pet cemetery and the daughter buries the mother. And then you see Lewis comes over to the pet cemetery and he's there to kill his daughter, which is what he does in the original. And instead his wife stabs him.
Yes.
his now zombie wife, and then she buries him in the pet cemetery. And
Oh,
then
they're a whole family of zombies.
zombies.
Oh my God. That's so
So
cute.
the very last shot, they come back, and poor Gage is sitting in the car, and I'm thinking that kid has to pee. He's hungry.
Right.
You know, he must be going nuts. He looks calm as cool as a cucumber, but
I
I would
know.
be.
What a
I'd
good
be
kid.
miserable. He's amazing.
He's such a
but
good.
he's showing up.
As someone who's had a 2-year-old, he's a really good kid.
He's really exceptional. And you see that Judd's house is on fire.
Yes.
And that the family is walking back with a can of gasoline, and the boy's looking out the front window of the car. And just at that second, the parents and the sister are all walking down like a zombie family. Also, the cat just jumps up onto the window. And it's like, and that's it. Like
that.
And I was like, that's it?
That ending made me feel so terrible.
Yeah.
Look, I realize, like, I'm not going to walk out of a horror movie and be like, yeah, and like fist pump or something. Like, it's not that kind of movie. But like that ending is so shitty and dark and a big fucking downer. Like, I just couldn't deal with it. I just don't like it. I didn't like the movie. I do think the performances are better, although I still think Fred Gwynne in the original is the best. Like the best. Watching it again, I was just very like, I just love how like sad he is, but he's friendly at the same time, and he's really, really great in that original. And I think the new one is slicker, I guess, is a good, like, like the effects are really great and the performances are really good. But I guess I wanted more of like a thoughtful examination of like the grief and why he does what he does. And we don't really get it. And it's just more of a slasher movie at the end. And I actually think the first one deals with like the grief aspect a little better.
Yeah.
And that's, you were talking about the funeral and how, it's really over the top in the original movie when like the father-in-law and Lewis get into a fight and like they knock the coffin over and all this stuff. But I actually think that scene shows like how fucked up like grief can make you and how crazy grief can make you. And I think the lead in the original, his name is like Dale.
Yeah, Dale Midkiff.
Yeah, he is so vanilla, bland, like monotone, like a total soap opera actor. Like, he's just really like, there's just like nothing going on there. I'm sorry to bag on him, but it's true. And I think if this movie had like a better lead performance, that maybe this movie would be more highly regarded, because I think there's actually really good stuff in it.
Yeah.
I think the actor playing Gage in the original is really, really cute.
Yes. Yeah. And the
I want to play with
cute.
you. I mean, there's things in the original too that I'm like, like I never believed that like Lewis and Rachel like each other very much.
No, they don't have any chemistry.
No chemistry at all. So like, it's kind of hard to believe that he would like bury her at the end to bring her back, like, because I never believed that they really liked each other that much. But
right.
I think the end of the original is better, because at the end he buries her and then she comes back, which I believe that's the ending in the book too, correct? Like,
yeah, and I like the ending in the book.
Yeah.
It's just sort of like he's just sitting in his chair. He doesn't even see her.
Yeah.
He can just hear her walking into the house. And you get it in the book better, and because it's more internal monologues. But he's, like you said, he's freaked out just by the grief. Like his family is all he had. Like he didn't have his own family; it was just his wife and his kid.
I think the original makes a better case for that than the remake. And I will say the end one also, because this one played at my theater, I saw the end a lot. Like you're waiting for it to get out so you could clean the theater. And I watched the end, and that end where like she comes in and you don't see her for a while. And then she's like, darling. And she's just gross, right? Like her face is just nasty. And like there's something like running, like something's oozing. and he gets up and he kisses her like full on, like gross, like open mouth, like, and every time the audience was all, ew! Like, they would freak out like So while this remake ends on a, oh, I feel terrible, like ending, the original ends on, ew!
There's a point in this movie where I literally had the thought to myself, and it's when Ellie is struck by the truck.
Yeah.
And she's on the side of the road, and her father is holding her body, and her mother is just splayed out in the middle of the road, just completely freaking out, and I'm just thinking to myself, what am I doing with my life? I'm watching a cat get hit by a car, and then a truck, and then a girl.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't fun. This is
No.
really this is upsetting, like on a very cellular level. Like, and that's just what horror does. I mean, and then it's considered one of King's one of the scariest ones, and most horrifying, because it is about real people and their families. Like,
right.
You don't read books about kids dying all the time.
And I mean, what's scarier than the idea of losing a loved one?
Nothing.
Right? It's the worst. And I just think that, so when I left the remake, I was like, hey, maybe this genre is not for me anymore. Like, surprise, this movie the original came out 30 years ago. Spoiler alert for everybody, I've changed a lot in 30 years. Maybe the horror genre of like dead pets and dead kids is not my thing anymore. That's fine. And then I watched the original and I was like, I actually liked it. Like, I still liked it, but maybe because I saw it so much and I've got like a nostalgia for it. But I like it better.
Yeah, it just seems. I think the issue I have, I guess, with the remake is it's almost too real.
Yeah,
and it felt too. And so then it wasn't. I couldn't remove myself from it. Like, I was really invested. But my other big problem is, like, I don't understand Lewis's motivations. He says something about, we came here to spend time with each other. I'm like, okay, so what happened in Boston? Like, it would have been nice to have heard him explain, maybe to Judd, like, we went through this, but I'm in Boston, so now I'm here, and I really want to change. And then I'd be like, okay, that's why he's making the dumbest choices of all time, because he's in a very fragile state. But
I did love in the remake where, like, she says, I thought you said the cat was dead. And he's all, I thought he was. And she's like, good thing you're not a fucking vet. Like, which is something you think in the first one, because he's like, maybe I buried it alive. And I'm like, you're a doctor. You could tell if something's dead or not. You don't have to be a vet for that.
Most of us can. And also, did you hear this? I maybe I went crazy, but Judd, when he's being attacked by Ellie, and that scene with the Achilles and all that stuff.
Oh, it's so awful.
Like, it's freaking awful. But he actually calls her a fucking trollop. I was like, what?
I guess that's something an old person would say.
I guess to a 9-year-old. It's just like, it was just, I was unintentionally hilarious at that moment. I was like, wait, what?
Also, in the original, there's a scene where, so after Lewis has buried Gage and he falls asleep in his bed, because that's a great time for a nap, he then rolls out of bed and like hits his eye on the nightstand. Do you know what scene I'm talking about?
In the first movie?
Yeah. Like, he just like, he wakes up suddenly and like rolls out of bed and hits, like, there's the corner of the nightstand and he like hits his head on it. And every time people in the theater were like, ah, like they would freak out.
Supposedly did that in real life. That was a mistake. He wasn't supposed to do that.
It looks,
and he really hurt himself.
Yeah, it looks really painful.
Yes. Let's ask Dale Midkiff.
I will. You know what? Actually, now that I think about it, I think the original has a really fucked up downer ending too, because now Ellie has to live with Rachel's shitty parents.
That's right, because he leaves Ellie with them.
Yeah.
Because that's the smart thing to do.
Yeah. I mean, I guess there's not a dying sibling for her to take care of, so she's got that going for her, but she has to live with Rachel's shitty parents now. So it has a downer.
Zelda's haunting that. It is. Zelda's haunting that fucking place. Zelda, you're not getting rid of.
No, I don't think you are either.
No.
So I don't think I'll be seeing this remake again. I really did like Tonic. I wrote down the cat names: Tonic, Jaeger, Leo, and JD as Church. They are really good. And I love, did you see the picture of, I think it's Tonic walking the red carpet?
Oh, you posted that on Twitter.
Yeah, and he's all wearing a tie. So cute. Really good cats.
I saw a clip on YouTube, and I think it was Leo, who was on. It was breakfast television in Toronto, and they'll put anybody on television in Canada. By the way, I used to book shows there, but yeah, he was. There's a segment with him, and he was the fluffy cat. Like they had 4 or 5 different cats.
Yeah.
And he was the friendly cat, and he looked like the cutest. I love Maine Coon cats. They are really fun.
Oh my God, they are so cute, and they're so big. Oh,
they're big, and they make really weird sounds, and they act like dogs, really. Like they're very loyal. They'll come, they'll listen to their name, and they're very cute.
Yeah. Now I want one. Not a dead one, a live one.
No. Let's see where Lewis is trying to give the cat the shot to like put it out. And the cat was going and hissing, and that my cat does that every time I try to take her to the vet.
Oh, yeah.
And every time I take the other cat, the nicer cat, I take her to the vet or to the groomer, I bring her back. She acts like that for like an hour. It's crazy.
Oh.
Yeah. I have a mean cat.
No, that's so sad.
No, I love her. She's fine. But yeah, she could be an asshole. Like all cats.
You know what the other rando thing I did not like from the remake is when John Lithgow says, "I know who Winston Churchill is." I'm like,
oh, that was a little wink and a nod.
Get it, you guys? Because he plays Winston Churchill in The Crown. Wink, wink. I'm like, shut up.
I actually kind of liked that. Like, okay. I was kind of like, oh, it's an Easter egg. Okay.
So what are some of did you notice any other Easter eggs in the remake that I probably didn't notice?
The only one I saw was the sign for Derry.
Yeah.
Derry, Maine is where the movie It takes place. So that's the only thing I saw. And I appreciate that they didn't overload it with Easter eggs like they do on some Stephen King properties.
Yes.
Like,
Well, so that's what Castle Rock is, right? It's just filled with...
It's filled with that.
Yeah.
But that is fine because it's an original story.
Right.
So
it's in that world. Yeah.
Yeah, it's that universe, right? When you have like a standalone story and then they throw all this other stuff in there, that's a little annoying.
Yeah. I'm going through all my notes trying to think if I covered everything I wanted to cover.
Yeah, I think I was going to look at like my notes. Did you remember Dale Midkiff? He played Elvis in Elvis and Me. Yeah.
That's right. That I was trying to remember. I was like, what else did he do? And I was going to look it up and I forgot. So that's right. He's just, it's so funny that someone like him even starred in a movie like this because he's so whatever. He's just so whatever.
I think he's like, they were thinking, oh, he's an everyman.
Yeah.
But in a very bland way.
A very bland way.
Yeah. No. Jason Clarke is a much better choice.
I think so too. I loved the movie It. We talked about this on the show, you and I and Smith, I think, back in the day. I super loved the remake of It that came out in the theater. Me too. And even though like this, like different filmmakers, different story, I don't know why I had it in my head like, oh, maybe this will be as good as that. And it's just, I went in with an unrealistic expectation, I think.
It got a lot of early good reviews because it was at South by Southwest. And I always I'm a sucker for those things. And I got to remember, like, those screenings at film festivals, especially the younger, edgier ones, I'm making air quotes, but the audience is in on it.
Right.
Like, there's so many movies that I'm like, this won the Toronto Film Festival, but like, I've been to film festivals, you get super into it. And then you see it later and you're like, oh God, I went to one, it was a Sandra Bullock movie. And Harry Connick Jr.'s in it.
Oh, Hope Floats.
Hope Floats. Okay, I went to it at a New York Film Festival, and the director is the actor, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, tall African-American man.
Oh, Forrest Whitaker.
Forrest Whitaker, thank you. He was sitting next to me. Okay.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, oh, wow, that's Forrest Whitaker. And he's the director and he's got the wonky eye and he's sitting next to me. I'm going to be into this movie. So you would have thought I had seen the greatest movie of all time when I talked about it. And then like a year or so later, it came out on cable and I watched it like, this is garbage. Like none of this makes sense. Bad decisions, bad writing. It's slow. But, you know, I think at Austin, like it's filled with like a rock and roll crowd. Maybe people have some drinks. And they're like, yeah, I mean,
they get swept up in it.
Yeah, you get swept up in it. So I think like if you're going into a theater, like my friend Dina from Twisted Philly, she and one other person were in the theater.
Oh my gosh.
She went to like a 4:00 show. And she said, yeah, and I never want to, she goes, I'm okay being alone. She goes, I'm scared if there's one other person because I think they're going to kill me.
Right.
But anyway, she said, yeah, it's a different atmosphere. And,
yeah.
You know, a good movie should be able to overrun that, but I don't know.
I just, this one did not work for me. I was glad I saw it. I'm glad I saw it. I wanted to see it. It's just, it just made me feel so bad.
Yeah, I think it's well made. It's well acted. It looks great. The set decorations, the art direction is really good. The cats are cute. The kids are cute.
Yeah.
You know, the scares, there are good jump scares in there.
Mm-hmm.
But just, it's like you said, like the thing with horror movies that like drives us crazy. It's just like the poor decision making.
Yes.
You know?
I'm wondering if somebody who maybe hasn't seen the original movie, hasn't read the book, like would they probably connect with this a little bit more? I don't know. Maybe. I didn't.
If that's you out there, let us know.
Yeah, we would love to know. Would you like to hear? I wrote down some movies from 1989. Would you like to hear some?
I would.
Okay. We've got Batman and Do the Right Thing, Ghostbusters 2, The Little Mermaid, Weekend at Bernie's, The War of the Roses. I think
I love that movie.
I think that should go on our list. I think that there's some fun stuff to talk about there.
Absolutely.
Look Who's Talking.
Oh, I love that movie.
I haven't seen it in so long, but I remember loving it at the time. Troop Beverly Hills, which
we should do that one.
Yeah. Didn't it just celebrate an anniversary too?
It's a 30th anniversary year.
All right.
We have to do that. I love that movie.
I haven't seen it since I saw it in the theater, so we could definitely do that one. And then there's a horror movie called Shocker. Did you see Shocker?
No, I don't know that one.
Shocker played at my movie theater. And then Back to the Future 2.
I didn't like that as much.
Nope. That movie is a big old mess.
It's a huge mess. I like the third one's actually a little more fun for me.
Yeah.
They go out west.
Yeah. I like that one too, a little bit better. I mean, the first one's like a perfect movie, obviously. The second one's kind of a big old mess. But I know that it definitely has its fans, though. People love to claim that they super love it. Or maybe they're just trying to be cool.
So speaking of cool, do you want to know the top songs from 1989?
Of course I do.
I'll pick a handful. Milli Vanilli, Girl, I'm Gonna Miss You. They have like 3 songs here. I forgot that they had.
Oh my God, they were so popular, and the fact that people couldn't tell that they were really singing fascinates me.
It's hysterical. Miss You Much by Janet Jackson.
Oh, that was a good song.
That's a great song. Bat Dance by Prince.
Bat Dance.
I hated it. I always hated it. Keep On Moving, Carol Wheeler. Oh, Soul to Soul, Back to Life.
Oh my God. I still love that song.
And Another Day in Paradise, Phil Collins. When we wrote about homelessness. Yes.
I love that song. Who does it? Who loves that song?
I was listening yesterday. I listened to a station online called WXRT in Chicago. Mm-hmm. And on Fridays, they have an artist and they play just a bunch of their music. So I try to listen every Friday. But yesterday, it was Sting. And I like the Police.
Yeah.
But Sting stuff can be a little, and he has a song called Russians. And
I remember that song.
I hope the Russians love their children too.
Because they probably don't.
Yeah, they probably hate them.
Yeah, they're monsters.
Oh, it's so over the top and cheesy. I was like, oh yeah, yeah. This is why people make fun of you.
I'm just thinking, I'm like, who's like, I love that song Another Day in Paradise. I put it on all my playlists. It was my wedding song, actually. It was our first dance. We danced to Another Day in Paradise. It's so the biggest fucking bummer song. It's like that and like Cats in the Cradle.
It's just exactly. Do you just want to bum yourself out?
Actually, I'm going to make Another Day in Paradise my walk-up song if I ever play baseball.
Oh, think twice. God, it's so bad.
What was they did this other song too. Now I'm just thinking about Genesis songs. About there was one about like "You're No Son of Mine" or something. Do you remember?
You're no son. You're no son of mine.
That's another fucking bummer. What was going on in Genesis?
I like Genesis, like Abacab.
Sure, yeah. Missing You. That was, or or Missed Again. Missed Again. That's
Missed Again is a good one, and then Phil Collins' Face Value.
Yeah.
In the Air Tonight is an awesome song.
Yeah.
You know, he's had some fun songs, but Genesis themselves just went the bummer route.
Right. He also had
Mike and the Mechanics.
Mike and the Mechanics, another fucking bummer. Oh my God.
Father song.
Maybe sometime when we're feeling really, really happy, we'll do a whole episode about big fucking bummers. Did you know? That would be fun.
Do you ever listen to Gilbert Gottfried's podcast?
No.
He's a big movie buff.
Yeah.
And he interviews people, like he doesn't have like Matthew McConaughey. I think he would take him, obviously. But he interviews like New York stage actors. Mm-hmm. And he'll interview somebody like Nancy Allen. Like they're in movies that you like, but they're, but he loves pop culture and he loves singing. And he remembers all his songs from like his youth. And he had a whole show about in the 70s, they had all these songs about death. Mm-hmm. And it was like dogs that died and horses that died.
Then the two of us may look no more.
Exactly.
So in the 70s, it was all like dead animal songs. And then in the 80s, it was all like rockers that want to like fuck high schoolers.
Yes. Or they want to talk about homelessness.
Yeah.
Like that was a big theme.
Yeah. She's sexy and 17.
17.
It, like, it's so awful. Oh, statutory rape's hilarious. I love to dance to it too. It's got not only is it, disgusting, I'm like, but it's got such a great beat. Yeah.
I love the Stray Cats, I have to be honest
I
with
do
you.
too. I do too. I absolutely do. By the way, all these songs I'm making fun of, I totally love. Except for those Genesis songs. Fuck those songs. And listen to my new podcast, Fuck Those Songs. Coming soon. Do you have anything else you're dorking out about?
Well, I really enjoyed John Lithgow's performance. And for the next book versus movie, we're doing Richard Matheson's I Am Legend.
Oh,
and
yeah.
we're going to see the Will Smith movie. And Richard Matheson had a very big career. He wrote many, many things, many screenplays. But one of his most famous is a Twilight Zone episode called Nightmare at 20,000 Feet.
Oh, yes. I know exactly what one you're talking about.
Yeah, and it's either 1962 or 3, but William Shatner, it's a very famous Twilight Zone episode. And William Shatner, for all of his over-the-top acting,
yes,
it's great because it works for this. But in 81 or 82, there was a Twilight Zone movie, and they had 4 different directors direct famous Twilight Zone episodes. And so John Landis directed this one, and it was John Lithgow who was the passenger.
Right.
And it's just, I just rewatched it yesterday, and he's terrifying, and it's just so good. I mean, it's the best segment in that movie. It's not a great movie, but that particular one is really done well. So that's what I'm dorking out about.
That's a good one. Have you watched the Will Smith I Am Legend before?
Yes, I've seen it a few times before. I like it.
So I saw that one in the theater, and when he has to put his dog down, I sobbed so hard for so long, it was embarrassing. Like the boyfriend I had at the time was like, come on now. Come on, like get it together. Like it was so embarrassing. I was like, like it's just so sad.
I'll be honest with you. I'm gonna fast forward, like when it comes to that part, because I can't take it on. I forgot about that. I posted on our Facebook page, and then someone goes, "Oh my God, this movie's so sad." I'm like, "Well, it's about vampires and stuff, and I'm sure his character's lonely, but why is it sad?" And then I remember the dog. I'm like, "Oh God damn it, what did I do to myself?"
I can't deal with that stuff.
Yeah,
like I just can't. Like I don't have it in me anymore to like, I have like, there's like very thin skin for kids and animals, which is why I'm surprised that I could sit through like another Pet Sematary movie after I just watched that remake.
Yeah.
But so I've been watching the new Queer Eye.
Oh, isn't it great?
It's so good always. I love it. Just restores my faith in humanity always. And so when I get really bummed out, I watch it, even though every single episode makes me cry. And there is an episode where they go to visit a man whose wife died of breast cancer, which obviously is going to hit home with me. And I sobbed through that entire episode.
I'm
like
sure.
every I was like everything. I was like, it's too much. I can't make it. I'm not gonna make it through this episode. Like, she wrote out birthday cards for all the kids to like through their like 18th birthday. She recorded her voice reading them bedtime stories, like everything. I was just like,
oh my
like,
God.
It was just like playing out my nightmare. And that's not a ringing endorsement for people. I'm really sorry, but it's really, really good. It's so good. The show is so good, and they are so sweet. And I love how awesome they are at like connecting with these people and listening to their stories. And one of the shows I used to love to watch What Not to Wear.
Oh
with Stacey London and Clinton Kelly. I loved it. Used to watch it.
She used to go to my gym.
Oh, really?
Stacey London. Yeah, she's in Brooklyn. She used to go to my gym.
I used to love that show, and I watched it all the time. And one of the things, but looking back on it now, I felt like sometimes they didn't take into account people's personal style.
Oh, no, they often didn't.
And so at the end, like, they looked just like everybody else, you know? And I didn't think that at the time, but now I'm like, not everybody needs to wear like a blazer and, you know, jeans and like pointy heels and stuff. And that's fine. Like if you want to wear that, great. But not everybody wants to wear that. Not everyone. For example, that's not my style.
No.
But I think Queer Eye is really good at taking into account what people are into, what's really doable for them, which I think a lot of these shows haven't done in the past. Like they need dishes, you know, if it's cooking, and Anthony's not really awesome at cooking, we've established this on the show, but like he at least like, hey, you're busy, like here's something easy that you can make, you know. Or when Tan takes people shopping, like, here, you like this sort of thing, here, this would look good on you. It's like more their style.
Yeah, and that's what they're great at,
and they're so good at that. And I think Jonathan is so good at like, he doesn't make everybody look the same. He's really good at like tailoring their hair or facial hair, if it's man, to what their styles are. And he gives them really good advice while he does it, because when you're in that seat and you're getting that kind of and you're doing something for yourself, this is self-care now. You're getting your hair cut and, you know, he's shaving you or doing whatever. And you're kind of open to that kind of advice when you're in that position, and he gives them really good advice. And I just think they're really, really, really awesome. And I'm just kind of dorking out about them right now.
I love that one with the sisters with the barbecue, and one of them she never smiles because she's missing one of her teeth, and they take her to the dentist and they give her teeth and she's just smiling like crazy like the rest of the show. And it was just like,
I love that one too. That was I watch the show with my husband. It's one of the few shows he'll actually watch with me, and he loved that episode, and he said, I think that's the best episode they've ever done. And then he went online and he ordered a bunch of that barbecue sauce.
I'm going to order it too because I want to support them. But did you see that scene where he's talking about what's the secret of the sauce? Is it apple? Is it molasses? He just listening. You can tell he doesn't know what the hell he's doing.
It's so funny. It's so funny because everything he's describing is totally different. Like, it's not like, oh, is it cumin? Is it coriander? Is it like, it's like, oh, is it, apple? Is it, meat? Is it fish? Is it fish? I think it's fish. Is it tuna? Is it bleach? It's not bleach. Is it Windex?
He just doesn't know.
It's like all over the map. He doesn't have to
know, but he's all over the map. But he's good. God bless his heart. He's very cute.
Yeah, he's very cute, and you can. The reason I like to joke about how he doesn't know shit about food, just like you do, and like it is a source of comedy here in the house. Like, what I did is I got a piece of bread and I put some peanut butter on it, and then I put jelly on it, and I call it a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and it's amazing. Like,
did you see the one with the squash? You know what I did with the squash, guys?
Yeah.
I used some olive oil and some salt, and I put it in the frying pan, and they're all like, "Okay, thanks."
It's amazing! Oh my god! But
it's still
his heart is in the right place.
Absolutely, they all are, and
yeah.
they really have so much empathy for the people that they're with.
Yes.
I like this update very, very much.
Me too. So that's what I'm kind of dorking out about right now. So where can people find you on the internet, Margo?
The best place to find me on social media is at Brooklyn Fitchick, especially on Twitter and Instagram. And my blog is brooklynfitchick.com.
Awesome. And you can find me at thesoniashow.com and on Twitter at thesoniashow. I'm on Twitter quite a bit, actually. I don't know why. I just love shouting into the void. You can find Dorking Out everywhere at dorkingout.com and on Twitter and Facebook at Dorking Out Show. And this was super fun as always. I'm so glad we got to talk about Pet Sematary.
And believe me, don't ever bury me in a pet cemetery.
Sometimes Fred is better.
Can't get that from here.